Okay, now we will talk about the photosynthesis. This is the second topic and we will discuss only the first four KPIs. So first of all, we need to know what do photosynthesis mean. So photo, as we have learned in the previous topic, photo means light and synthesis is like to produce or to make anything like that. We need to understand from this mechanism. So above that, we also need to know who is the one that's doing photosynthesis. So these are plants, producers, or you can say autotrophs. So autotrophs, they do this process and they use light. We won't say only light, we say light energy to produce chemicals. Basically, which chemical is produced over here? It's the glucose, and the energy stored in the glucose is in the form of chemical energy. Okay, so this is chemical energy. So it is a process in which basically light energy is converted into chemical energy. That's what we learned. Or the autotrophs make their own food, that's the glucose. So we need to describe the process of photosynthesis using a balanced chemical equation. So first of all, let's go down. This is a chemical equation, that's the balanced one. So make sure to balance it. You just put 6 and 6 over here. The X is missing, of course. This is H2O, and we are going to put 6 next to it also. So we will put 6 next to it, and it will make 6CO2 plus 6H2O gives us C6H12O6 plus 6O2, and that's it. Which of the following substance that is labeled with the letter X? We already did. It is the water. Now, which of the following is the energy conversion during the process of photosynthesis? I already told you which energy, light energy into what? Into chemical energy. So let's see down. So light into chemical. So this is C. Okay, chemical to light, no. Kinetic to thermal, no. Thermal to kinetic, no. Now the next one, first KPI is done. Describe using diagrams the different structures of the chloroplast. So chloroplast is an organelle in plant cell where photosynthesis takes place. So it is the place of photosynthesis. So photosynthesis takes place here. Photosynthesis takes place here. Photosynthesis also need a pigment. That's the next KPI, role of the pigments. And we have the major pigment that we need to know, that is chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is the major pigment, and the role of the chlorophyll is to absorb light. So this is the major role of the chlorophyll. And then with the last one, we will compare the two phases of the photosynthesis, that is light dependent and light independent. And we will only focus on these 4 points: 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so components, location, reactant, and main products. So these are the 4 major things we will be focusing on it. So this diagram, they are already telling you that this diagram is of chloroplast. So you already know that this is something present in the plants. So of course in the class we studied it has 2 membranes, and then this single disc, only one disc, when it touches one disc, like this number 6, when it is touching one disc, it is called as thylakoid. And when the pile of the thylakoid is labeled, so this is number 3 is labeling thylakoid pile, so this is known as granum. It's a singular, so when there are many granum labeled together, it's grana. Now we have here 8 is the liquid that we studied, is the stroma. Okay, the 7, which are the small circles over here, this is ribosomes. And this is the 5 that is like thread like structures over here, this is DNA. And we have number 1, that is the outer membrane. We have number 4, that is inner membrane. And the last labeling that is left is number 2, which is interthylakoid bridge or interthylakoid membrane, you can say. or bridge. Okay, so this is connecting the two thylakoids. So see, this is thylakoid number 1, this is thylakoid number 2, and this is the one which is connecting them. So this is like a bridge between the thylakoids, so we call it as an interthylakoid bridge. Which number represents granum? Now we did already, number 3. Okay, so now we can move fast since we know them already. Which number represents the location of the light independent reaction? Okay, now on the diagram itself I can let you know, sorry, I wrote bit wrong spelling. This is not strom, this is stroma, and in this stroma the light independent reaction takes place. Okay, independent reaction takes place over here, and light dependent reaction takes place over here in the thylakoid. So light dependent reaction takes place over here. There are alternative names of all these. So this is one. Number 2, dark reaction. Okay, dark reaction, and the best one known to us is Calvin cycle. And the above one, dependent reaction, is also known as light reaction. So basically why we call it as a light reaction, because this only takes place in the presence of the light, but light independent takes place if the light is present or it is not present. So where does light independent takes place? Now we know that it is number 8. Next one, which number represents the part that contain enzymes that is responsible for the production of the ATP? So basically this is the ATP. So ATP, okay, it is product of light dependent reaction. Okay, so you can see after this information, it is product of light dependent reaction. So where does light dependent reaction takes place? In the thylakoid. Where is the thylakoid? Number 6. So it means that ATP is produced in number 6. So this is how you work it out. Which number represents the part that contains chlorophyll? Again, this is thylakoid. Okay, so that the answer will be again 6. But over here there is one more thing, because it can be 6 as well as it can be what else can be. So since the 6 is not in the option, that's why I'm gonna tell you, look, since 6 is not in the option, so we know it is the thylakoid. Now if it is not in the thylakoid, where it can be? So what other thing is made up of thylakoid? Number 3 is also made up of many thylakoids, so we can go with the granum. So it is thylakoid or granum, because granum is made up of many thylakoids together. Which number represents the inner membrane of the chloroplast? We already did, that was number 4. Okay, so we answer it as number 4. Now coming to the pigments, what is the role of the pigments? I already told you, to absorb the light. Okay, how do pigments in photosynthesis support photosynthesis? According to their light absorption properties. So see, they are already telling you light absorption properties. So it means that the pigments have light absorption properties, so they absorb the light. But here we need to see, like, what do they do? In the class we studied, we have pigments like chlorophyll, and also in the chlorophyll we studied it is either chlorophyll A or chlorophyll B. We also studied like there can be xanthophyll. Okay, we studied there can be carotenoids. Okay, carotenoids, and there are more pigments that are possible. So we need to know like which one of what are their major properties. So their major properties, like each one of them absorbs specific wavelength of light, and we studied with the help of this graph. Look, chlorophyll A is absorbing this wavelength of light from its peak, and B, sorry, this is B, I'm really sorry, and A is absorbing this peak, B is absorbing this region, and A is absorbing this region also. So they have specific range of light that they absorb. They don't absorb all the lights. So this is the same case for every pigment. So pigments absorb specific wavelength light with high absorption in the blue and red region. So we already know from here, this area is the red region and this area is the blue region, based on Vibgyor. Okay, VIBGYOR. Violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange, red. So this is the red region, this is the blue region. Okay, now moving onward, we have to further see four students compared the light dependent and light independent phases of the photosynthesis. Their answers are shown in the table below. Who gave the correct answer? So we need to know like what are what. Okay, by the way, before that, chlorophyll A over here, this is the major pigment. So this is the one that is the major or the most important pigment, while these two are called as accessory pigments. So these are the two major types of the pigments. So pigments like major pigment and accessory pigments. Accessory pigments are those who help the major pigment to absorb the light which they cannot absorb. Light dependent phase, we know that light dependent, it occurs in thylakoid. So it occurs in stroma? No. It occurs in stroma? No. It occurs in thylakoid? Yes, there is a possibility. It occurs in thylakoid? Yes, there is a possibility. But we need to see that if the one which occurs in thylakoid, it produces oxygen, and the one which occurs in stroma, it produces sugar. So the answer is C. How come this happened? Let me try to, we will study this in the next lesson, but imagine this is the chloroplast, like this is a two membrane organelle. Okay, and in this membrane we have thylakoid which pile together to make the granum, and then here we have a circle, that's the Calvin cycle. Okay, so in this Calvin cycle what we do, we need to know what is happening. So according to the equation of the photosynthesis, here H2O goes in and O2 goes out, and over here CO2 goes in and C6H12O6 goes out. This is the part where in this area in this area, this is light dependent reaction, and in this side this is light independent reaction. Okay, and this is what we call it as Calvin cycle. These are the arrows which are going in, these are the reactants. So here we are showing reactants on the top side, and here we are showing the products. Along with that there will be more. So here we have light. Okay, light is also being absorbed in the light reaction. Now most important thing, the thylakoid produces ATP and thylakoid produces NADPH, and this one we have as product of the light reaction, but they become as the reactant of the dark reaction or Calvin cycle. As a result, what happens? As a result, the Calvin cycle use ATP, and it produces ATP plus PI, and which becomes as a reactant for the light reaction. And in the same way, the Calvin cycle uses NADPH, and they release NADP plus, which becomes the reactant of the light reaction. So this is how you follow the arrows to say what is happening and what are the reactants and the products. Now we have this graph. We need to use the graph that shows the two types of the chlorophyll molecule and conclude one benefit to the plant. Conclude. So we have to say conclusion. So what is the conclusion? Basically, since they have two types of the chlorophyll which helps the plants to absorb unique wavelength of lights, and they can efficiently absorb wide spectrum of light energy for photosynthesis, and this helps to maximize their ability to convert the light energy into chemical energy. You can say that whatever all said this, it's written over here. Okay, so you can use this one. So you can say that since they have two type of the pigments, chlorophyll A and chlorophyll B, they absorb specific wavelength of light, so it will help them to absorb high absorption, which enhances photosynthesis. So basically this is the conclusion for the graph. Moving to next, complete the table below to compare and contrast light dependent and light independent phases. So we already studied above. Light dependent takes place in the thylakoid, okay, and this light independent takes place in the stroma. What are the main reactants? All the arrows, okay, I draw here all the arrows which are going in. So you can see who is going in to the light dependent reaction. So it is water, it is light, it is ADP, PI, and NADP plus. And who is going into this one? It is CO2, and it is ATP, and it is NADPH. All the arrows which were going in. Now the products, ATP and NADPH and oxygen. Along with that, over here in the light independent phase, it is glucose, and then NADP plus, ADP, and P. So these are the products of this. Complete the following table by writing the stage of the photosynthesis that correctly matches each list. So you have to link if this is light dependent and light independent. Please don't do this like number 1 and number 2 and then you fill like this. Okay, this is wrong. Don't do like this. Sorry, I said 2 3 4, not like this. Yani 1 2 2 2 1 1 like this. No, this is all wrong. Please don't do this. It is not an issue to write it completely down. So you are supposed to write the sentences down. So uses light energy, it is light dependent, okay. Then produces glucose, of course this is light independent. Then takes its place in the thylakoid, it is light dependent. Then takes place in the stroma, it is light, yes, it is independent. Produces NADPH and ATP, it is light dependent. And who uses CO2, it is light independent. And that's it. I know it looks hard to write all this again and again, but that's what you have to know. And this is the end of the KPIs that are being used in the SBQ. Wish you all the best for your exam, and if there is any question, feel free to ask me by email. Thank you so much. Enjoy your day.